What's up, guys? It's Wild Bill, and we're going to continue on with the AFC previews, and we're down to the last AFC division, and that is going to be the AFC West. Um, Probably this is going to be the weakest division as far as the four AFC divisions go, because it seems like there's one. I guess they're still pretty elite. Like they're on the borderline between elite and like great or good. But then the other three are like, they've really dropped off. So, but anywho, starting things off, we got Kansas City Chiefs. Um, very painful season for the Chiefs. Of course, the last couple seasons really have been pretty painful for Kansas City. Last year, I believe, 2-14. No, no, they were like, no, what were they, 4-12, I think, something like that. But they were obviously one of the worst teams in the NFL. Um, this season, they got they picked up guys like Thomas Jones from the Jets to back up Jamal Charles, who of course had an amazing end of the season. This guy was basically thrown in there in the middle of the season after they cut Larry Johnson, and he still rushed for about 1,000 yards in only about 9 games. So you figure what he can. So you take that, you think about what he can do for a whole 16-game season. This player has a chance to have a breakout season if the Chiefs can get things going. But again, they have Thomas Jones to back him up, so we'll see how many carries Jones steals from uh, Charles. Still got Matt Castle at quarterback. You got guys like uh, Dwayne Bowe and Bobby Wade at the receivers. Um, so this offense they have talent there. The question is, are they going to be able to execute it? That's the only thing. And defense, they definitely shirt that up by drafting Eric Berry in the first round. So clearly, Berry was the best safety, excuse me, in this year's draft class, and the Chiefs decided to take him at number 5. So that definitely shirts up. That definitely helps in the secondary department for the Chiefs. But I think they're still a ways away from contending with the playoffs in the division. Next up, it's kind of tough between these two teams. Like both these teams are going to be like, it's hard to decide who's going to be better than the other, because it's just been a weird off season, especially for the one team. But I'll start with the other team that hasn't had that weird of an off season, but it's still like, you know, if they're going to be good or not. Are they going to have talent? I mean, they have talent, but you know, what are they going to do with it? And that, of course, is the Oakland Raiders. 5-11 last season, so continuing the streak of not having a winning season since they were in the Super Bowl 8 years ago. Of course, they Jamarcus Russell with another fail of the season, got benched at the end of the season, or towards the end of the season, and Gradkowski was put in there. Now, of course, neither of them are the starter because Russell's been shipped out, and they acquired Jason Campbell from the Redskins. who of course now have Donovan McNabb. Um, Running backs, Justin Fargas is now gone, so they now have two running backs in Darren McFadden and um, the kid from Louisville. What the hell's his name? Yes, I'm cheating right now. Michael Bush. Yes. Darren McFadden and Michael Bush now the two running backs in Oakland, so they'll compete for playing time and for the carries. I think McFadden's going to have a slight edge there, to be honest, but they could both get their share of carries, so it'll be interesting to watch there. Lewis Murphy's back at receiver, Chaz Schillens. Hopefully Darius Hayward-Bay can have a much better season than he did in his rookie season last year. What do you have, like one catch last year? So not really that productive of a season. So Oakland fans are hoping that can improve a lot. And a sleeper of a tight end is Zach Miller. So he could be one of the best, if not the best receiver on that team, and he's a tight end. So we'll see how he does this year, though. You got and then on defense you got guys like Richard Seymour back, Derek Burgess, one of the best corners in the game, Nnamdi Asomugha. So I mean, this team doesn't have a bad offense or bad defense, excuse me. The problem the last couple of seasons has been their offense and their inconsistency. So if they can get the offense to click, this team can be a real dark horse in this division. Because really, this division I think could definitely be up for grabs. Because San Diego has their own problems right now, which I'll get to in a second. So Oakland can definitely be a dark horse. And the other team I was talking about, who's had a very, very strange offseason, Denver Broncos. Broncos, of course, pulled the old choke last season. Started 6-0, finished 8-8, out of the playoffs. A lot of changes since then. Kyle Orton is still there at quarterback, but his two new backups. They traded for Brady Quinn from the Browns, and of course drafted Tim Tebow in the first round. And if Denver struggles this season, which they very well could, don't be surprised to see Tim Tebow in there as the starter. No Sean Moreno and Carl Buckhalter are back at running backs, although both of them are right now injured. They're both injured on the same day of training camp, literally minutes apart. So recently they went out and signed Lendale White, who is currently serving a 4-game suspension. But I think he's there as just a little bit of an insurance policy until Moreno and Buckhalter get back. Receivers, they don't got much of them. They traded clearly their best receiver in Brandon Marshall to the Dolphins. They went out though and they drafted Demaryius Thomas in the first round also of this year's draft. So at this point, you got Thomas, you got Jabbar Gaffney, you got Eddie Royal. Those are probably going to be the three top guys as far as receivers go in Denver. And defense, of course, they just took a huge blow, losing the NFL sack leader from last season, Elvis Dumervil. He's all but done for the season. He's expected now to miss about 4 months with that torn pectoral muscle. So even if he comes back, he's maybe going to play in like 2-3 games, and by that time, Denver could pretty much be out of the playoff picture anyway. So this defense is really, really hurting, and I cannot see this team competing for a playoff spot this season. Like I said, I was juggling between Oakland and Denver. I would not be surprised to see Oakland ahead of Denver for second. So like I said before, I see Oakland as a real dark horse to maybe take one of those wild card spots. They could definitely be like an 8-8 team and finally end the streak of losing seasons. So this division there's a lot of question marks. It's really up for grabs. And finally, they'll probably be the favorite going into the season, but again, they have question marks of their own, and that's why I'm thinking this division's up for grabs, and that's the Chargers. And the main question mark, well, I'll get to that in a second. Last season, of course, 13-3 in the regular season, got the 2 seed in the playoffs, but were knocked out by the Jets in the divisional round. So for the Chargers, they were basically one and done, even though they had the bye week. Of course, lost LaDainian Tomlinson to free agency. He's now with the Jets. Traded up in draft to draft Ryan Matthews, and they've already said he might get like 300 carries this season. So as far as fantasy goes, he's clearly the number one guy, the number one rookie. Darren Sproles is still back there, though. He'll probably get some of his own carries, but for the most part, it's probably going to be Ryan Matthews getting the bulk of the carries. But the question mark I was talking about is Vincent Jackson. He's unhappy with his contract. He's not happy with the tender that the Chargers offered him. He did not sign it. The deadline has since passed for him to sign. He wants a long-term deal. The Chargers have not offered him that. And he's already violated the NFL's personal conduct policy, I believe, and is out the first 3 games of the season. He is threatening to hold out even longer. He has said he's willing to hold out until week 10 of the season, because you have to play at least 6 games to get credit for playing that season. So he's saying he's willing to hold out until at least week 10. And if he does that, then San Diego's in trouble because they don't have much at receiver behind them. You got Malcolm Floyd and you got Chris Chambers. Those are probably going to be the 2 guys. And you got Antonio Gates at tight end, who they just gave a huge contract extension to. But if San Diego was not able to recover from the loss of Vincent Jackson, then this team's in a lot of trouble. If they can figure out a way to kind of tread water and be able to stay steady until Jackson gets back, if he comes back, then this team will probably win the division again. So that's all it really comes down to. Another guy, though, that's also threatened to hold out is Sean Merriman, who's basically the leader of the defense. So if he holds out, then that really hurts that defense. Because, again, he's basically, the heart and soul of that Charger defense. So it'll be interesting to watch. But it's really going to be hard to see this division be competitive at all, other than San Diego. So, if I'm wrong, then so be it. That's the fun of guessing games. You never know. So that about does it for the AFC. Next time, we begin our trek through the NFC. Remember, this is your boy Wild Bill saying so long. Thanks for watching.